Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Belinda Wilkerson, otherwise known as Dr. B from Steps to the Future. Thank you this evening for joining in with us. I certainly appreciate it. We have some fantastic weather here in North Carolina today, so I hope wherever you are that your weather is pretty good and that you had the opportunity to get out and about. I am really thrilled to bring our next guest to us this evening. So I'm going to read his bio for you, and then when we come have a short break, you'll have a chance to meet him. So tonight we have Alphonso Short, also known as Coach Short, who was born in New York. He lived his formative years in North Carolina. And as an adult, he's lived in Washington, D.C., Maryland, Mississippi, and presently in North Carolina. He has been married to his lovely bride, Anissa Conrad Short, since 1998. And in his spare time, he enjoys music, reading, and travels to the Caribbean. In addition to his over 30 years of federal government employment, Coach Short has dedicated his life to service, specifically to areas that serve to build up men and children. Whether serving as a tutor and mentor through the Adopt a School program, coaching boys basketball through his city's parks and recreation programs, volunteering with the Boys and Girls Club, or serving in various leadership positions in ministry, he has been committed to making a difference. Coach Short has been recognized for his work as a volunteer for various citywide organizations. He has served as board chair of two nonprofit organizations that serve children, the Fascinate You Children's Museum here in Fayetteville and Greater Life of Fayetteville. And he has even facilitated a junior golf camp for boys that not only taught the game, but emphasized the importance of core values. Coach Short obtained a BBA from the University of North Carolina, Charlotte, a BBA and MBA from the Word of Truth Bible College, and he became certified as a Christian life coach in 2001. So we're going to take a short break, really, really short. So make sure you go and grab your beverage or whatever it is that you're going to sip on during this. Hopefully it's water, nothing alcoholic, folks. Get some water, some juice, a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, and join us back here in a few seconds. Say, we're back. So thank you so much, Coach Short, for joining us this evening. I am really thrilled to have you on.
Hello, it's nice to be on. Thank you for the opportunity today.
You're so welcome. So Coach Short, let's start a little bit about growing up. So tell me, so you've actually moved around quite a bit. So tell me, so tell me a little bit about what caused all those different moves. Was it work related or?
Yes, ma'am. And I have family that lived in Washington, D.C. area as well as North Carolina. So as a young person, I had an opportunity to be exposed to the North and South. My family is just your standard hardworking family that was trying to instill good principles and values and character into me as a young man. I grew up with one of my cousins just as a brother, 6 months difference in age. I utilize sports as something for my own self-discipline, but I really it was imposed on me from family. I saw my family work hard together. I saw teamwork with them to make things happen. I saw them be successful at doing business, at improving their education level so that they could be good at whatever they did. And I had the opportunity as a youngster in the Washington, D.C. area, being a federal government city. I was exposed to working in the federal government through youth programs, which exposed me as a young person to work around adults. And I'm very astute to watching people and making sure that I was having good etiquette and just really be a disciplined person and respectful to those who are older than me. I was 14 or 15. If they were 17 or 18, they were older than me, and I respected them in senior and in experience for something that I was trying to learn to do.
Okay. You talked about the importance of youth programs. I think that's something that most of us recognize that youth programs do play a valuable part in the lives of our young people. I know I was fortunate enough during my early career, actually prior to going to college, to actually work in a couple of youth programs during the summer. And what is so exciting is that sometimes when I go home, I'll run into one of those students that I had as a youth in one of those programs. And it's so cool to see them all grown up now. So yeah, youth programs are wonderful, wonderful way for students to learn life's lessons. So with that, what made you decide to get a business degree? So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, everything in life has something to do with business, and the more you can learn management, marketing, professional development is something that we all need to some capacity, no matter what your field of work is or your interest in being a business person. Um, Also, it sets you up for the entrepreneurship um, environment that we live in and that's more prevalent in today's society. Take it that I'm 57 years old and things were different 35 years ago, or what you do for business. The internet has opened, and social networking has opened it up where people can be their own business and marketer, sitting right in their kitchen or in the den or where they're doing business. So you have to stay innovative on working with the next generation, helping them understand some of the basics, but also learning from them in the new age and time of things happening. So I hope that I'm a current type of older person to what you call the millennials or whatever they're called now. I'm trying to learn, but your experience you can't get out of a book.
Right.
And that's what, so you build bridges with individuals in whatever we're doing. You call it networking or networking. We have to build bridges with knowledge that you have and new knowledge that has to be learned so that we can move forward.
Okay, that sounds really great. I mean, that's so true because we are very much in an entrepreneurial society today. I mean, one of the most popular shows on TV is Shark Tank. People, that's where people, on Friday nights, people are watching Shark Tank to see if one of the entrepreneurs there is going to be picked up by one or two or maybe all four of the sharks. So yes,
Yes,
that's
ma'am.
definitely something that we need to think about. So tell me a little bit about so so after you went to UNC Charlotte and received your degree, where did your career pathway take you right after college?
The federal government. I always worked, like I said, for my summer programs. I was fortunate with family that worked in the government, and also the same family aunts who instilled in me to be assured that I handle my business as an adult and be responsible and accountable. It left a great impression on the people that I work with, that they left the opportunity open for me through junior high and high school and college to come back on breaks and work and just pick up and work as under a youth program. So when I left Charlotte, I also worked in Charlotte in the paint with Sherwin-Williams Paint Company for a few years and learned more about business and interacting with people and sales. But going into the government, federal, it was a different type of administrative position. I thought I would do it about 4 or 5 years and move into something in marketing. And I still wanted to pursue an opportunity if I stayed in shape and could improve my basketball game, that I could probably play basketball overseas or somewhere, but that didn't work out either with knee injuries and everything. But I've now currently, it will be 35 years in the government on April 16th.
Wow. So congratulations on that upcoming anniversary.
Yes, ma'am.
Longevity in the federal government is a good thing. It's a good thing. So that's one of the things. So, here's another avenue that I don't think a lot of students may think about is that you can have a career in the federal government. You just have to know that those opportunities exist. And because of your upbringing, because of the environment that you had been in as a youngster, you knew that the federal government was a viable career pathway. And like you said, you didn't plan on staying there that long, but here you are now getting ready to celebrate a pretty significant anniversary. So tell me about what kind of activities that you do outside of work. Like, so we talked about some of the volunteer stuff you do. So tell me how that impacts what you do.
Really, my physical and mental therapy for years, it was golf. I retired from the golf game about 7 years ago, but I probably played for 25 years. I love that. Not really a sports fanatic where I have to watch sports on TV. Basketball is my favorite sport, then golf. I will watch football. I'm a Washington Redskin fan to the end. Um, but I like reading and writing. And recently, in some of my writing, I do a lot of just inspirational, I call it short stories that I started some time ago, maybe 2 years ago, I guess, or it could have been 3 years. Just writing inspirational things, really encouraging myself. And my wife, my darling wife said, you should write a book. You should make a book of this. And she's been saying it forever.
Mhm.
And I would just write them, and I would have scriptures with some, and some I didn't. And the opportunity came with her being affiliated with a publishing company and doing a book or two of her own. That we got things organized, and the timing was right. And she has inspired me and really did diligent work that soon I will have a book out entitled Be Transformed, which is a 31-day inspirational devotional. And it's 31 days for the month. What inspired me to do it that way is that I had someone back in maybe 2000 or 1999 give me a devotional. And I would read through it, and I went through the year, and I just continue to read it over and over. Just go through, and the word is so inspirational. As you mature yourself, you can read the same scriptures over, and it's a different meaning to you depending on what period of time in your journey in life. So I'm just getting started, initiated with 31 days. Um, so I will be writing more in the future, and I hope that this book is very inspirational to those who take the opportunity to get it. I'm very inspired and motivated now about it. And also, it kind of just plugged in with me recently getting my life coaching certification. And with that, I mean, God is really blessing that. Also, I established my own life coaching business called Mindscaping Coaching Solutions. And so I'm just intertwining everything together, that is hopefully every tool that I have and the gift that I have, I can utilize it to help people discover more of their purpose and a positive mindset and move forward with their life, whatever they're trying to do, and understand that they're not on an island by themselves. We have teamwork with
Mhm.
all the people that's established in the world. There's people around waiting to help us all, and people that's praying for us and in the back end cheering for us to be winners in whatever we're doing, and we don't even know about it. So that's the grace of God on our life.
Okay. So, folks that are just joining in with us, we're here today with Coach Alphonso Short, who is giving us some wonderful information about his college and career pathway and how it's led him to where he is today. So, please make sure you share this out with people. If you have a comment, please put it in the comment section, and we'll make sure we'll get to your comment or your question. Um, Coach Short, so tell me a little bit about what you had to do in order to become a certified Christian life coach. What did that look like?
Well, a lot of reading and studying the life coaching curriculum under Breakpoint Coaching Collective, Dr. Patrice Carter. It was actually, I was the first person for her with her business going uh, online to take the course. So it was an online course, which is set to be a 12-week course, but it is self-paced. Week by week, you're given fantastic information on what it takes to interact, learn to be a listener. A coach is more of a listener than someone who's giving instruction. We are not individuals that are certified doctors or counselors. And we would suggest that if your situations require more professional assistance, you would do so. But more or less being one who have the tools to inspire the individual and open up the and broaden the horizons of an individual with some of the things that they have that they may feel a little reluctant or their self-esteem they sense is not where it should be to move forward. So as a life coach, I've been doing this probably all my life and working with kids and working with men and working with the church and didn't define it as a coach as just someone helping out and being a brother in Christ to individuals, being a mentor to young people, being a coach if it was sports. These things were done for me when I was growing up. And now in the professional world, it is a business. And I felt like I've done enough layman's work with it that I should get certified for more credibility and being trained in a more disciplined environment so that I can even be more effective in helping individuals if they desire life coaching.
Okay. That is what you just said was so important. So you made this decision to go ahead and work with the fabulous Dr. Patrice Cotter because she is
Yes, she
absolutely
is.
wonderful. And
Yes,
I
she
just want to
is.
put some information up there so if people are interested, Breakpoint Coaching Collective,
Yes.
Dr. Patrice Cotter. She's fantastic. She has like one of the best personalities in the world. So I thought it was so important what you said about once you knew that that's something you wanted to pursue as a professional, and because it was something you were doing anyway, and when we
Yes,
look at
ma'am.
your bio, we can see all the opportunities that you were giving to young people in the form of mentoring them and working with them in different avenues. But what you said that was so important was about going for more education. So here you are, someone that already had a bachelor's degree, you already had a master's degree, but you still realize the power of additional education. And what you said about getting certified and about helping your credibility is so important. So, folks out there, I want you to really think about it. So, Coach Short told us, he shared with us his age at the beginning. So, I think it's so important that you understand that you can make changes in your life any age that you choose to do. The only person holding you back is yourself. So, again, Coach Short, with the encouragement of his wonderful wife, decided to move forward in doing this and went ahead and did the certified program. So tell me a little bit about maybe some of the specific lessons that you had within that coaching program.
Actually, the core lessons that makes the major difference is learning that you're a listener, to be a listener. I'm one with my job positions have been leadership roles predominantly, and we all are leaders anyway. I'm a quiet person, but I can talk, and I talk when I have a passion, and I have a interest in learning or interest in sharing. I'm more of a teacher myself, so the greatest thing for me was learning to listen. You have your moments that you can give your input of teaching, but really to draw back and understand that the person, the coachee, so to say, or the client, if you're in the business environment with it, is the most important thing. And you want to gain a trust and respect with your client and a mutual respect for each other. And it's amazing because it's kind of culturally accepted in our society that we work on this hierarchy. So if I'm a higher paid individual, then for some reason you make me the smartest person in the environment when it's not about the big eyes and little U's. It's about this is a person that's in need of assistance to get some things in order so that their personal development can continue.
Mhm.
And so you're helping them tap into themselves. And
Right.
so it's nothing about me with it. It's about gaining that support and being very attentive to the individual that you can um, get a sense of who they are and what they're about, and get into the innermost depths at times without having to be investigative, so to say. Because if you don't feel comfortable with me as a person, as a platonic friend, you're definitely not going to be. I'm not going to be the person that you would want to coach, mentor you, or lead you with anything either.
Right.
So it's learning to gain trust by communicating. You know, you still have to have the audacity and the interest to still go into and ask the tough questions so that we can get to very progressive conversations and communication lines to reach the ultimate goal and objective.
Okay. So that's something that, when I heard you talk about learning the skill of listening, that is one of those skills. I can't remember I don't know if it was my late grandmother or my late mom. Well, they both probably said the same thing. You have two ears, one mouth, and God gave you that for a purpose. So that means you're supposed to listen more than you talk. And I remember my mother always telling us that because, we always kind of like wanted to not get the last word in, but we wanted to like say something. And she would say, nope, you have two ears, you need to listen more. And I love that when I ran across this somewhere a few years ago, but when you look at the word listen and the word silent, they have the same letters, they're just arranged
Yes.
differently. And I think if the more that we remember that, I think the more that we all could become better listeners. But I love what you said about developing a rapport with the person in order to create a relationship so that they trust you enough to have those conversations. And right now we're in a crazy time in our society where having courageous conversations sometimes is very difficult to do. So the work that you're going to be doing is going to be so needed.
Well, I'm just excited because it's just my lane, but the challenge is, as it's always been, um, my focus is men, young men, middle-aged men, older men, and men. It's hard for us to share or open ourselves up to each other on a regular basis. We have moments where we do that. So my goal is in my prayers that God really gives me the grace that I have the ability to have young men and young adults and older gentlemen mature to feel comfortable that we can have those man conversations because there's more to us than we like sports and
Right.
beverages that for excitement or whatever. It's more to all of us than that. And we have fears and we have things that bother us, and we don't share them. We internalize them, and they can affect you both mentally and physically, and affect your entire family, friends, and environment that you operate in. And I'm speaking from personal experience of understanding that.
Yeah. That's wonderful that you found your target population to work with. And I love what you said about men and having the ability to be able to open up and talk with someone, because it is a stigma in this country where grown men don't cry, or men don't cry whether they're grown or younger or what have you, that you always present that steely exterior, and you don't let anyone penetrate it because you got to be the man. So I love that's your purpose in life. I was going to say we have two young sons, but they're not, they're grown men. And when you raise men, you realize that it takes a little talking sometimes to get them to share their real true feelings with you. So I love that you're doing that. How are you planning on once you move full time into your business, how are you planning on reaching that particular population?
Well, in my business, I can work with individuals. I plan to be doing more seminar type
Okay.
programs as well as working with organizations that may be with youth programs or
Mhm.
church organizations with just leadership, um, and just really open any type of platform that you will come.
Okay.
Um, it's about the conversation. It's about not a conversation I want, but topics of interest. And I have topics of interest being a Black male, but also I'm kind of a news person, so I'm watching and I'm hearing the politics. And when you live in DC, you live anywhere, you see and hear the politics. My number one focus, which is something that I think when I met you maybe 3 years ago, I suppose, if it wasn't longer, that when my wife explained to me the business you did of working with young people so that they could prepare for college. And that's long before they're in the 10th or 11th grade. And
Mhm.
working with young people and seeing the Black male educational crisis is really a burden in my spirit. And I really want to work with helping the youth find an interest and get excited about school and the discipline it takes, even being a third grader, a fourth grader, seventh grader, eighth grader. The principal values are the same, that you have to become disciplined and take interest and focus on what you have to do, whether it's your homework or preparing for tests. It that crosses all ages. What a fourth grader have to do is study. It's just like a person in college. You have to study and you have to make time for it. But we do have to deal with the reality that um, it's been forever that there's a Black male educational crisis in the United States of America, and it's broken down. It can be more heightened in some of the more rural or even urban areas with us. What I've discovered from working with youth organizations, and particularly with my organization that I work with now, Greater Life of Fayetteville, where we work with at-risk kids who are getting short-term suspension or maybe even in the probation system, to get them back on track where they can be um, but to stay up with their schoolwork, that they're meeting the requirements, that they can go back into the school system. Um, we know that young Black males are in the system of being incarcerated much greater than other groups of people. And it starts really with the little troubles that they can get in school, in elementary school, junior high school. It seems to carry over into their life if someone doesn't step in and be more of a mentor. Something that has disheartened me for years is to see young people, and particularly the young Black males, be
Mhm.
in school and they're first time offenders, and they're being escorted out of the school with handcuffs on just to get them off the campus, and they're just sending them home. They're not going to jail, but it's the image
Mhm.
that's there. And it doesn't make a difference if it was their first time offense. And I don't want to get into the socioeconomic politics about it, but it doesn't happen with other groups as much as it happens with us. And I see this happening, as a older gentleman now,
Mhm.
when I see kids who have those conduct and behavior problems, and they are very fierce about it. Their personalities are strong because of the environment they live in. They are just responding and reacting the way the environment is. That they don't know, they don't have any sense or understanding how to tone it down, discipline themselves, and
Mhm.
listen to somebody. And so that's the tool that I want to have more emphasis on in my personal understanding,
Mhm.
is how to get people to calm themselves so that we can have general conversation and talk about the real, because it is a real problem if all of our kids are typecast and not getting what they need in school. We talked before we got online about how many times these kids, they don't see anyone that look like them. I'm not charging anyone that's not African American with their kids, because the teachers have a passion and great concern that they want the kids to be successful. But most of the school system, they're going to see white females, or they're going to see a few white males in charge positions, and they don't see anyone that looks like them. and maybe can understand some of their difficulties a little more before reacting that they need to be disciplined or their learning techniques are not working for this kid. So he needs to be put in special education. Um, there's not a balance of the certified individuals that look like the black male in the school system, in their
Mhm.
schools that they're in, that gives an adequate educational resource or two. We're more comfortable, it's just human nature, with those who look like you most of the time. And if you're nurturing and trying to help me, I'm more
Mhm.
receptive to learning and listening and understanding and getting it. And we're looked at as a black male who's doing everything possible to live a clean life and be productive in society. I'm not looked at any differently than the one that is already a known criminal and felon when I walk outside in my environment.
Right.
But that doesn't make me go and have to act like I don't have discipline and I don't know better. And it's not a fear what the policeman might do. The law is going to do what they do, but I have some etiquette and discipline within myself, and that's what I hope I can. I don't expect a 10-year-old, or 12-year-old, or 14-year-old to be as adamant and passionate about what I'm saying to them. So I want to make sure I can communicate it to them where they understand. And we see enough that's happening in our society today with the black male for any kid, whether they're 3 years old or 17 years old, understand that there's a plight for us and we're becoming an endangered species.
Oh, wow, you just said a mouthful there. You just, I mean, again, as the mom of two black males, I hear everything you're saying. I am, and being in education more than 40 years, we see that pipeline to prison for black males that starts sometimes as early as third grade. Um, the whole idea of how our black males are viewed in society, and sometimes they've already have been um, prejudged just because of how they look. I was listening to one of my favorite radio stations is Urban View Radio, with Karen Hunter and a couple of other broadcasters,
Yes, ma'am.
Clay Kane and a few others. And someone in the last week or so, they were talking about the whole situation with black males and education. And someone was saying, and they said, and it was so true. They said, as a mom or a dad, you look at your young kid who's like 6, 7, 8, and to you, he's like the greatest kid in the world. But then he's going to grow up, and then he's going to be like 13, 14, 15. And when he walks out the door, people may look at him differently. So having those conversations, having that mentor um, relationship, especially in homes where there may not be a male presence, is so needed for our students. I mean, there's a lot of systemic racism going on that we're also going to be fighting at the same time. But I definitely hear what you're saying about the need to have those conversations with young folks. And the earlier we can have those conversations with them, the better. I mean,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah.
One thing I've realized, and one thing that's very helpful for the Black community, I didn't attend the HBCU, of course, but the HBCUs and the sororities and the fraternities, in particular for the males, how they're involved with doing community services for kids and outreaching in other organizations. And I cry out to any black male or group of black males that if you have the time and you have the energy to work with helping underprivileged kids, and I'm not anti any kids, but our community is suffering and we have to take care of home first. Um, to reach out and become a part of some volunteer services because every kid, and particularly the young black males, they need hope that there's a future for them. When we say college, that shouldn't have to just be a dream. It can be the reality. But there's a lot of things that have to be done fundamentally, and that starts in the early years of education. Because unfortunate in the K through 12 education, too many of our kids make the worst grades. Their test scores, don't meet the standards of what it takes, and the highest dropout rate is with the African American male. That's a reality, but this educational crisis, it's been recognized, and it's led to some targeted initiatives across the nation.
Mm.
It's led to targeted initiatives in every city and state, but we can't just rely that a system that really has been set up for us to fail is
Mhm.
going to work. So we have to get back in the trenches of our own neighborhood, and each one teach one, and share in the community. Whether you come to a rec center and someone is tutoring math or teaching people to read. If you think about it, when we could not read and it was illegal, we still learn to, with our foremothers and fathers, taking camels and going in backwoods and going in places where someone could read, and they were just teaching everybody who was hungry. And now that education is still more difficult for the best education for our environment, but the basic education is possible, and we're not getting that now. And a lot of it could be the system. I commend every person that's in education, school teachers from preschool,
Yes.
special education, whatever they do, but it appears it's not enough, and we have to take more interest in our kids than what a governmental system does, because they need to know that we're there for them and that we're in the corner cheering for them in the good times and bad times. The school system now, if they're not meeting the criteria and they can get the check mark to keep the appropriate number of stars for your school district, then the kid is put to the side, and you got to go with those who you can at least get to test. And I think the greatest tested up now is with the COVID-19 over the year, and the crisis of interchangeable from being in classroom to virtual. And the the success failure rate, I guess, could be however one calls it on any day, but it's not been very good in our neighborhood.
Yeah, you're so right. I mean, you've just said, I don't know, Al. I think we're kindred souls here, because just hearing that you're talking the language that speaks to my soul. Um, because we see these kids out here, and we know they're brilliant. We know they're brilliant. We know that they're going to be the next entrepreneur, the next graphic artist, the next creative out there. But some students just need more direction because, like you said, the system isn't broken. This system is working exactly the way it was designed to work.
Yes, ma'am.
And,
Yes,
and,
ma'am.
and it's terrible. So we have a question here from an audience member. Thank you so much, Debelina. I really appreciate it because you're a pretty constant supporter. So her question is, how do you motivate students who absolutely hate school and don't care? She said she works with some homeless and disadvantaged youth.
You don't quit. You don't quit imparting those necessary essentials of the principles and values that they need. You just keep chipping away. We're going to lose some. When I say that, we're going to lose some to the programs that in our spirit and that we're trying to implement so that we can see them take their step forward now. Everyone has different motivational um, things that motivate them. What works for child A, may not work for child B, but don't be disheartened. Reach out to those who are operating in your lane, and see if there's more tips. I could sit here and be very general and generic, but I don't take every person is special and has a special way that we all have to be handled if we're going to be our very best. You do that and continue to keep your faith. Um, God will make a way when we don't have a way. You give your very best, He will take care of the rest, and reach out as much as possible. I hope that even in doing this broadcast, I would love to be able to communicate with you more. Maybe we could get more detail about some things, not so much about the privacy of an individual, but the type of situations you're dealing with. My website is mindscape-coaching.com. I'm also on Facebook at Mindscape Coaching Solutions. I can be contacted at 601 259 8038. Please leave a voice message if I don't answer. I tend, if I don't know a person, I'm not answering. I do have a business line that's being handled at this time, and I will have a business line later for you to call. But yes, please keep the faith and don't give up, because what you're doing is making a difference. It just may not be happening in your time.
Oh, I love that. I love what you just said because it reminds me of when I was a high school teacher and a high school counselor. And sometimes we would have students who, because of a lack of cultural competency, I would say, because in my former high school, I there was like one black male teacher and one black male teacher, and that was about it. And there was a lack of cultural competency amongst the white teaching staff because, frankly, they didn't feel they needed to really know that much about what it was like, and we're seeing the results of all that bubbling up today. But
Mhm.
but I remember, I'm hearing what you said about not giving up, because that is so true. I keep thinking of this one particular student I had in high school who, from the ninth grade on, I mean, people were afraid of him, and that was all a front because he had been
Yes.
hurt. He had been hurt by adults throughout his whole life. People who were supposed to be there for him as a child weren't there for him. So he learned to mistrust adults. And having been assigned to be his school counselor, it's just what you said. Don't give up. You just keep chipping away and chipping away and chipping away. And this has been years. And this young man, I mean, I'm so proud of him, because, he's married, with kids and has his own business and what have you. And this was a kid that so many people had already decided he wasn't going to make it. He wasn't going
Yes.
to make it. And he did. And he did. And he's doing okay.
And that happens a lot with us at every age level with things we're doing. As adults, we're normally so task oriented of making a
Mhm.
dollar, getting a promotion on the job so we can take care of family and have the basic needs. And kids, no matter what socioeconomic demographics they have, they need to be loved and they need to feel secure and safe, that it's okay to be a kid. So, and particularly as Black boys, they must experience, or we must experience, the experience of motivation to succeed. And that's well before college. It doesn't do any good that your kid gets to the 10th, 11th grade and is reading at fourth grade level,
Mhm.
and we now are competing against other families or kids that, well, they're going to college and they're this and that, and you're not ready. How could they be ready for college? They can't read. They've been passed along, so they have only assimilated into a environment that's school, yet got no education. This not does not They're illiterate from an educational basis of scores on a test, but they still have dreams and ambitions and skills that come. It's just not the way they're being taught,
Right.
has not been effective for them. And there was no one who could stop the train and wait to find out what's the issue. So we place them in a category and we move on. And if they're lucky, they might make it. But even if you send them to college, what could they do?
Exactly.
Miss Belinda, you're dealing with people and
Mhm.
helping their kids get prepared for school who may have been, some of them are well prepared, some of them have started. They think too late, but you show them it's still a path. But you also get to look at test scores, which make a difference.
Mhm.
You get to interview with those children and their families, and you realize that they are not socially ready
Mhm.
to be in a college curriculum as far as being on a campus, but the studies they were doing would be remedial high school that they're still taking in college, which is nothing wrong with that. But most four-year institutions don't have special education.
Right. Right.
Your junior college doesn't have that, but your junior college is working with you at a pace that there's some things that you have to get in order. And we have to emphasize with our kids, you may not be ready for the four-year institution or whatever, but we're going to get these basic things back in order and get you, as long as you're getting continuing education, you can be prepared. And once you are prepared and get the discipline and get your focus and learn the ways of being a college student, then you move on with whatever it is, whether it's getting a trade or whatever your studies are, you can do it. But we need that motivation. And it's not just that we need it so that we make good grades. We need it because it's about the individual growth, but it's also about the stakes of the benefit to our entire nation. If
Yes.
we have a group of men, which is us, Black
Mhm.
males, that's a part of this population, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7% of the
Mhm.
population, maybe us, and we're in prison or illiterate and can't do anything, then not only do our neighborhood and our family, but America is losing.
Right. You are you are so right. It's a social issue. It's an economic issue. There are so many pieces of this that need to be addressed. So Debelina says she can only reach out to the children through their parents. So when parents are overwhelmed, they don't have the capacity to help their children.
That is so very true. And ma'am, I find that with working with Greater Life of Fayetteville, our main core directive is that we have to have a buy-in with the family, with the
Mhm.
parents. And normally it's a mother, single parent with
Mhm.
children, but getting them in, not finding that we need you to help discipline your child. We need to locate where they are in their life, the things that they have deficiencies, not about how much education you have, but how you're using what you do know and how to be a better parent, not in judgment, but in how can we help you, not your children. So I'm not sure what type of program you're in or school, but it's a difficult thing getting parents who are working and trying to take care of their kids or parents who don't work and not trying to take care of their kids. I don't have the answer. That's one of my burdens. But when I say burden, it's not, and I'm so sad about it. It keeps me motivated that when
Yeah.
we're building families, and when we can help families get in tune with each other and work as team, because all it's is teamwork. That old adage that it takes a village to raise a child, it takes a village to raise a village. So we all are village people, and we have to learn how to go back to, this is going back to some old school, that we actually be family, not just say we're family and we handle certain things. We got to deal with the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever, and be family and encourage each other, face things head on, whatever the situations may be, so that we can move forward. We're not going to have the answer to everything, but teamwork is the core to everything. So everyone has leadership ability. That's a seed planted in us. And we have to start with getting the parents or parent to understand that their role of leadership, what it is. Also finding out what are some of the needs they have so that we can enrich their lives. You may be helping a parent learn to read while their child trying to read because they
Mhm.
quit school in the 7th or 8th grade and unfortunately became, unplanned parenthood situations.
Right.
But just to learn how to mentor their kids along with parenting their kids. Um, it's different angles. I'm looking and working on those things in particular also. So again, with some of this information, please send it to Facebook or something, and we'll share. And maybe we can even collaborate with some of the organizations I'm with. That we have some type of forums that you could be invited to that would help you in that area.
Right. That's so good. So we have another comment, and I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name. Is it Chatel? Chatal says that we make the village, and that's so true. And also said that sometimes the brightest of the students shy away from asking for help.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I emphasize in everything I do, and when you're working with a lot of kids, you see who that alpha male, that alpha personality is. I know my impact and influence with young people being 57 years old. Nice, I'll listen to him, but he's just like another teacher talking to me. So I try to establish their own peers to be the ones that influence them by examples that, hey, I follow his advice or rules and regulations and I'm getting results in my life, and have them be the model. Because even though we're seeing children, even if you're a teacher, you're only seeing them in the classroom or when they log on to the virtual site now. They know how to come in and perform to be adequate for you and then leave, and you hear about this individual being in trouble for some reason, or some things that's negative about them or the environment. And you say, I don't believe he was in that, because we only see snapshots. So we have to be able to build the confidence in the children that they take accountability with each other. And that's what teamwork is about. And we see it in sports, and we see it in your sororities and fraternities and other type of organizations. But everything we do is, as long as there's multiple people, there's some type of team, there's some type of organizational structure,
Mhm.
and you give it to them in small doses where it doesn't hurt to stretch them a little bit, because we have to be stretched, and they have to be willing, and we have to be willing not to quit giving.
Mhm.
We have to be willing not to quit giving. I heard you earlier, Miss Belinda, speaking about having the ability to change or reshape ourselves
Mhm.
with the right stimulus
Right.
for the response. I have no particular response other than a kid having confidence in the identity of who they are. And all the self-confidence and the self-esteem and all of that can be built from there. But I want them to feel loved by me, and understand that there are others who love them, and understand what love is, and express to me what's the problem with love in their life. And I know that can get touchy with things of being counselor or teacher, but that's a grace we have. If we're
Right.
working with kids, we're gonna know things about them that their parents don't know, just by general conversations or consistency with them. That they know that these teachers are working with compassion. Some aren't, but there's good cops, bad cops everywhere we go. We just have to deal with those situations when we do.
Yeah.
I know it's close to our closing, and this wasn't planned with me, but I pulled out um, uh, some words that I give to myself. And I think in like 1988, I wrote a poem called In the Black. And I was just sitting in my office ready for a transition with another position or something has to give. And it reads, every change in man must come through internal understanding and acceptance of himself. Man is the only creature with the ability to reshape and remold himself by altering his attitude. You are where you are and what you are because of the dominating thoughts that occupy your mind. So we can do anything that we put our mind to
Mm.
as an individual and as a people. And when we come together positively as a force to succeed, we succeed and no child is left behind.
Yeah. I love that. I'll have to get those words from you and put them in the show notes. Is that going to be in your book?
At some point.
Okay.
At some point.
At some
It's
point.
not in this one. It's not in this one. It may be in
Oh,
one of the
it'll
other
be in
ones.
the next
Yeah,
one
yeah, in the
that's
next
coming out.
edition. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
So we'll all be looking for that. So we have another comment saying, willing not to quit giving, but like you said, parents should be equipped to provide the right information.
you're right.
Yeah.
But what someone should be able to do and what they are doing, and
Mhm.
the results are in the results. Um, we just have to, again, it should be a little easier. Not always the case, because I've been cursed out for helping many times, but I'm not a school teacher and have to go through it all the time. Is that we are adults and we are dealing with other adults, regardless of how childish their mentality may be. Again, use your grace, use etiquette and respect in dealing with them. Sometimes it may have to be that you give them written documentation of some things that you would require of them in order for you to continue with their child. And I'm not sure if you're the head of an organization or your company or business or a teacher and you don't have an option of dealing with the individual or not. But it sounds like if it really gets so difficult that it's taxing your spirit and it's just burdening you to the degree that not only do you need help, hopefully you can find another person that's in your field that can take on the responsibility of this child so that you don't have a mental or physical breakdown. And I say that in all seriousness.
Yeah, that it is so important to find that help, find wherever it may be, because our kids, they're our future. And if we don't take care of our kids, who else is going to do it for us? I mean, it really is one of those things where just taking care of our kids is important. And we have a comment here saying, good suggestions, and they thank you for answering those particular questions. So, Coach
You're
Short,
welcome.
give me again the full name of your book. It's Be Transformed.
Be transformed. And it's a 31-day inspirational devotional.
Okay, and will we be able to, once this is ready, will we be able to find this on your website?
Yes, ma'am. It will be on my website. We hope that within the next, I don't want to project out past my publisher, but I think probably within the next 2 weeks, I hope that it's informed and there will be information out so that you can order the book.
Okay. Okay. So for those of you that have been listening, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Again, on the screen is Coach Short's website. So when his book is ready, you will be able to order it from there or get ordering information. Also, Coach Short, is there contact information on your website? So if someone did want to reach out to you?
Yes, it is. But once you
Okay.
go into Mindscaping Coaching, there are different prompts you can go to.
Okay.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
if anyone would love to continue this conversation with Coach Short, because I see we have quite a bit of interest in the work that he's doing, please make sure you reach out to him. Again, you have his website there, and we have a thank you from Debbie Waitley. Debbie, thank you so much for joining in. Really appreciate that you came in and supported this. And we have another person who's saying they appreciate you. So, Coach Short, this, I know at first you weren't all too sure about doing this, but I don't know. Like I said, we're just such kindred spirits. I just love what you had to say, and the fact that the target population that you're working on, because again, it's near and dear to my heart. And having been in education for 40 plus years, I know that our Black males get shortchanged all the time.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
the time.
Well, we will collaborate more, that's for sure,
Okay.
and do some great things.
All
Thank you
right.
so much.
I so appreciate you being here. Everyone that came on this evening, thank you so much for your comments. Thank you for your support. Thank you for watching. Usually I have a book that I want to share with you, but the book I want to share with you is for you to be looking out for Coach Short's upcoming book. So make sure that you're on his website, checking to see if this book is coming out soon. I know I'll also, as soon as it comes out, I'm going to be putting it on my Facebook page and tweeting
Thank
it out
you.
and what have you. So again, to keep up with when the book is coming out, here's his website, mindscapecoaching.com. So that's where you can go to find out more information about the book. Coach Short, thank you so much. This has been a fabulous conversation, a needed conversation, and I am just thrilled that we had the opportunity to do this. So those people that were listening, for some of the other information, I will have that in the show notes. So you can always, so check back in another 24 to 48 hours and I will have some of that information in the show notes so that you can then share this with other people. So everyone that joined in tonight, thank you so much again for joining in. Coach Short, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to be here this evening, because representation matters, and it's so important that young males, young Black males, Black and brown males, see someone like you out there taking care of business. So again, thank you so much.
Thank you, and God bless you.
Okay. And just hang on for a minute, Coach Short. Everyone, I will see you next Monday with another guest. So please tune in and make sure you go on my Facebook page, Steps to the Future, and check out the events, and you'll see who is coming in the coming weeks. So again, everyone, have a great night.